we've got left in the total session. Here we go.
Okay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the last session of the day in Powerful Brands. Absolutely delighted to welcome Mr. Martin Greif.
So, well,
Brilliant.
thank you. Perfect.
Wonderful. Do you want a song, Martin?
Please, if you're going to sing and entertain us, please go ahead.
A quick hello and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Martin Greif. That's what I do on my own show, so I thought I would do it once today in the Powerful Brands track. I've saved it for you, the nicest, most delightful guest I've met in many, many, many a moon. So can you tell us a little bit about Greif's life, Martin?
Sure. Let's see. We'll talk about the boring stuff. Although we'll see if people consider it that. I've been a sales guy. I've been a marketing guy. I've been a shoe shine boy. Okay, which is where I learned how to get really good tips from people. I've worked in a woodworking plant, and now we help people for the last 10 years increase their conversion rate and make more money. So.
Brilliant, wonderful. CRO people, I think all businesses need it, and we don't really realize it sometimes till it's too late. And today's topic is how selfish are you, which I love as a title. So I'm really looking forward to knowing how selfish am I? And the answer is probably very. To you guys in the audience, actually lovely to see 72 people in the audience. That usually rises as the first minutes roll by, so we'll probably end up at about 100. Welcome to all of you. If you have any questions, please do pop them in the Q&A. We'll have 5 or 10 minutes at the end to answer your questions. I think picking Martin's brain is definitely something I'm looking forward to do at the end of the presentation. So Martin, if you would like to share your screen, I'll hand over to you and
Alrighty.
give you the microphone, as it were, and remove myself for 35 minutes. Good luck, man.
Perfect. So, well, again, thank you for that, and welcome everyone. So, we're gonna start off in a little bit of a strange way, and so let me apologize in advance. The topic is how selfish are you, and how selfish are you as a marketer? Yet the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about myself. I mean, if that's not selfish, I don't know what is. But the reason I'm talking about myself is just so you all know, I'm a little, I'm not feeling all that great. So if I wind up in a coughing fit or you see me, it looks like I'm coughing, I probably muted myself. But be that as it may, I will endeavor to do my best to make this both interesting and informative today. And so just understand this is not my usual self. I'm usually a lot perkier than today. So anyway, so with that being said, that's all I'm going to say about me. Today's discussion is based on chapter 1 of my book, and that chapter is titled "It's Not About You." Okay, interestingly enough. So, what are we going to discuss today? All right, we're going to be talking about why marketers are inherently selfish, how to avoid being a selfish marketer, the importance of search depth, and a 3-step framework for perfect user alignment. So. In addition to the topics that we've got here, I'm going to talk about how really good people, can be selfish without meaning to. All right. So here's the question. Whether you think you're a selfish marketer or not, you are a selfish human being. Okay. I know that sounds harsh, right? You're sitting there saying, who is this guy and how dare he call me selfish? But the reality is, unfortunately, we're all selfish. We are hardwired to act on selfish motives. We are human. We are fallible. All right. And so when you put your visitors at the top of your priority, you're still wired to act, on selfish motives, which means that when you're being selfish, your visitors' needs are left unmet. And that means that they bounce and they leave and they don't buy or subscribe or download or fill in the lead form or what it is you want them to do. All right. We just can't help it. We're selfish. We're people. All right. So, you may be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but basically what it comes down to is at the bottom of the pyramid, when we were literally cave people, we were worried about air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. We were in our cave eating our hunk of meat, right, by the fire, and as the world changed and the people, we moved to safety, personal security, employment, then love and belonging, esteem, and all the way to self-actualization. And so, but having said that, okay, interestingly enough, no matter where you are in that pyramid, and unfortunately in today's world, there are people who are still at the bottom of that pyramid, which is really sad. But even at the top of the pyramid, where you would think, we're talking about self-actualization, people still, are driven by some type of selfish needs, right? And so what does that mean? Well, according to Socrates, all right, people behave in good behavior mainly for self-preservation and fear of punishment. I mean, his belief was that, if there weren't laws, people would do what they'd want, all right? Thomas Hobbes, all right, so that even voluntary acts, and I think this is really interesting, number two, even voluntary acts like helping others or doing one's duty have ulterior motives, to derive pleasure. I'll give you the most, awful example of this. So for those of you who have children, all right, children, and I have children, I love my children, but God, they're annoying, all right, to us and to others, but we are hardwired to protect them and do things for them. And we do it because of, the evolutionary pressures on it. So we're helping them and we're doing things because of how that hardwiring makes us feel that they're achieving stuff and all that. We're not doing it out of love, all right? And even love itself, and I know this sounds terrible, even love itself is a selfish act, where you give to others, to your significant other, to your spouse, to whoever, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you've got. Even love is selfish, because when you do those things for people, for the person you love, you get back some endorphins and you feel good about what's going on. So as odd as it sounds, everything we do is all about how we're hardwired and get that chemical feedback that makes us feel good about ourselves. And I know that sounds terrible, but the point of it is we're people. We are hardwired based on evolution to act this way. So with that in mind, no matter how good your intentions are, you're going to have selfish behaviors. You're human and we act on instinct. So let me just take a moment to talk about two books that I've read that truly changed my life. And it changed the way I was a salesperson and a marketer and all of that. Okay. So if you haven't read these books, and these are going to sound like strange books, I promise you, this is going to be a little bizarre. But the two books that I recommend that everybody on the planet read are an oldie but goodie, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Okay. And what's interesting about that, it's all about human behavior. And if you really read that book, and if you translate his teachings into how you act, you will actually be more successful, not just in marketing, but in life itself. It is an amazing book. Now, what's interesting is he recommended that you read it, a couple times a year. And I try to do that. The reason that he recommends you do that is because, again, we're hardwired to act a certain way. So what happens is we read this book, we go, oh, that makes sense. We modify our behavior a little bit. And guess what happens? A few months down the road, we're back to our old selfish behaviors because, again, we're hardwired. So I strongly recommend How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. All right. And even though some of the examples are dated in it, it still holds true. People are people. The second one is probably even more bizarre. It's What Women Want Men to Know by Beverly DeAngelis, PhD. Okay. And I read this book, and it's about this as this thick book. And she explains how men and women are wired differently and how they act. And when I first read the book, it's got to be about 20 years ago. And I read the first few chapters of the book. and it was talking about how women are wired. And I thought, that can't be true, right? And I asked the people I worked with, the women in the office, do you do this? Do you do that? And they're all, yes, this is exactly how we work. And I thought, oh my God, that's so dysfunctional. And then I read the chapters about men, and I went, oh my God, men are just as dysfunctional, if not worse, than women are. So interestingly enough, there were things in that book where I actually understand why men act a certain way, why women act a certain way, and again, it's a spectrum because, people there's not one size fits all, like women are always here and men are always there. But in general, by just understanding, again, human behavior, it really made a difference in my life. I mean, honestly, I became a better husband, a better father, a better boss at the time, a better employee. All of this stuff really made a difference in my life. And so I just want to share those two books with you folks. All right. And those books form the basis of how I approach sales and marketing. All right. So kind of a long story there, but let's talk about this. So digital marketing is a game you don't play alone. You're never going to win if you only think yourself. Really, if you don't, put the customer's self-interest first, you're going to fail. So you always have to redirect your focus for the customer, not you. So visitor empowerment, what does that mean? Okay. The key here is to align three things. All right. The user intent. Okay. Why are they coming to your website? What's the purpose? User intent. Remember, this is about them. This is not about you. All right. Their experience that they have on your website. And then the third thing is your company goals. I mean, so, you could certainly have people come to your website and do whatever, and you offer like get a free iPad. Well, you get lots of visitors, but if you're selling pest control or you're doing whatever, there's no alignment there. So you need to make sure that you get all three. User intent has to be met by the experience they have with your digital marketing, and it has to match your goals. You miss any one of those three things, all right, and you do not or will not have a successful digital marketing campaign. All right. So everybody views themselves as the center of the universe. They can't help themselves. So let's talk about the principle of reciprocity. And the principle of reciprocity is I give you something of value, all right, without you really asking, and you're going to feel good, and you're more inclined to potentially do something for me. So with that in mind, and let's talk about that for a second. We've all been to a website where there's a form on it and you get to download something, right? And they say, fill out this form to download it. Well, here's the question, and you can just think about this for yourselves for a second, but to download a white paper on, anything, on travel, on hearing aids, on whatever it is, what fields are really needed? Well, the answer is none. To download a white paper, just give them the white paper. And then anybody who's doing lead gen is going to go, oh my God, but if we just give away the white paper and don't know who they are, we're not going to get the leads. Well, here's the thing. Most people have like a spam email address. I have one on Yahoo that I've used for years. It probably has thousands of emails in it. I only use it when I go to a forum where someone wants to bother me. Okay. And I fill in the form with my Yahoo email address. And when it says it sent it to me or asked me to validate my email address, I log into Yahoo, I validate it, and I never see any of the other garbage that they send me, right? Instead, if you gave someone a really high quality download that was really full of good information, and that you've earned their trust, and you gave it to them willingly without making them jump through hoops, and at the end of that, you had a call to action that said, to learn more, click this link or go here or call this, you have earned their trust, all right? Because they're going to feel much about you. And what happens is the percentage of real emails and real phone numbers goes up because they trust you now. So remember, people are coming to you. It's not just that you're selfish, okay? Everybody is selfish. So if you think about that and you provide value, it really does make a difference. So what are things that marketers do that's extreme selfish? Like entry pops. You've all seen this, sign up for our list, buy now with this discount code or what. I don't even know what the site does yet. and I'm getting like an entry pop. And here's the thing, we've had people who say to us, well, when we put our entry pop up, our subscription rate went up by this. Well, yeah, if you put an entry pop on a website that is not highly converting well, if it's not optimized for conversion, then yeah, maybe the entry pop is working for you because you're putting a band-aid on a wound. All right. But I promise you, if you put an entry pop on a high converting website, it actually lowers the conversion rate. So entry pops are a bad thing. Now, I'm not against pops, exit pops, time pops. There's reasons to use pop-ups, all right? But unless you've earned the right to ask somebody something, an entry pop really just lowers your credibility, and it screams that you're selfish. All right. Here's an example, from MailChimp. I don't know if any of you use it, but it's really clear what it is they do and what the benefits are. This is all about the visitor. Look good, grow fast, sell more, look professional, grow your audience with sign-up forms, boost sales. This is all about the visitor, all right? And obviously, if you do those things and you become a client, that matches their goals. So if this is the kind of thing you're looking for, that would match your user intent. And then I get here and it's all about me, right? So it's like, yes, I'm in the right place. And then it matches the company goals, right? Let's talk about e-commerce for a second. Cluttered purchasing process. I love this. You're on a page, all right, and what do you see? All right, I'm in the checkout, and it says, sign up for our newsletter. Like us on Facebook. Why? Take their money after you're gotten through the purchase process. Then if you want to give them a reason to sign up for your newsletter, or to like whatever they bought on Facebook, or to do whatever, it's fine. But the more things you throw in that are really not germane to the purchasing process, you're making people think, and that really just frustrates people. So I'm going to look like an idiot for a second, but if you can see my hands on the side of my head here, think about it this: before someone comes to your website, if this is, let's say, the gas tank of patience in my brain, if over here is full, right? If you don't know before I come to your website, was I not at full? Was I here because the dog peed on the rug? Did I have a fight with my spouse, so I'm here? Did one of the kids do? You have no idea what mood I'm in before I come to your website. And every time you make me think, you're eating up a little of my patience until I leave. All right. So don't make me think is key. So don't clutter up your web pages with all sorts of things that you're like, well, we want them to sign up for our newsletter. We want them to share on Facebook. Nobody cares. Okay. Solve their problem before you try to solve yours. All right. Overwhelming distractions. Make sure that whatever you're writing, makes sense. Be clear and concise, what you should do. Now, as this is an international audience, let me give you an international example. And we've done this, and we'll use English for right now. We have tested the same exact content in the UK, Australia, and the United States. Now, as an American, I can say this: Americans are shallow, and we are the land of immediate gratification. We don't read. Okay, where people in the UK, actually read more. And interesting enough, the people in Australia are somewhere in the middle. So what we've learned is, depending upon the demographics of your audience and where they're located, they have different needs to consume data. Don't assume one side fits all. So the English really love to read more than Americans do. All right, and no disrespect meant to my American colleagues, but it's just we've tested it, and it just turns out to be that way over and over and over again. And again, the Australians are kind of in the middle. All right, so here's a really simple one. This is sleeking back, move your teams and employees, right? Uber for business. There's no confusion about here whatsoever. I don't have to think a lot, right? Because we already determined I don't like to think. We make this really simple. All right. Here's another thing that we do that screams selfishness. Okay. Bragging deals. It's like, The number one this, and really, who said, where did that come from? You know, we've got the best. You're using these words that nobody believes. All right. And so they're going to be, you know, skeptical. On the other hand, if you use words like over 10,000 clients worldwide, you know, serving Vilnius, all right, which I wish we had been in to do this, serving Vilnius for, you know, over 2 decades. Oh my God, that's real, okay? As opposed to we're the best, the number one. That makes no sense to people. So bragging about things without real hard facts, you know, it is just it's not real, and it screams that you're selfish. All right. So why are digital marketers selfish? All right. And so a couple of reasons for that. The first reason why digital marketers are selfish, or think about this, is because they just want their marketing campaigns to deliver well, right? So they've tried it, it works. They're measured on this, and they want it to work. So successful marketers don't rely upon tricks. They rely on value to their audience. So think about that. If you provide value to your visitors, they're more likely to engage with you. Okay. So if you look at the top one, so if you are not the owner of the business, but you're working within the business, right? You know, the problem is that business owners, the vice president, your boss, you know, those people have a, you know, bad, you know, they don't mean to have bad intentions, but they do, because they feel like they're right and they know it all. You know, we call this the hippo problem, all right, which, you know, hippo, the way we spell it is HPPO, which is the highest paid person's opinion. So you could have the best, you know, campaign in the world, and your hippo, your boss or the business owner says, no, it needs to be this, it needs to be that. And then you're stuck, and you got to explain. And I've done this multiple times. You know, I've told people, listen, I really don't care what your opinion is. All right. The way we work, and the way you as digital marketers need to work, is we are relentless advocates for our client's client. Okay. Not for our clients, but for the client's client. By solving their problems, the clients make more money. You know, that's what you need to do. You need to be relentless advocates for, you know, the people coming to your website. Let me give you an example of this. I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but I was at a company explaining what they needed to do. It was a $20 billion a year hardware manufacturer, and the executive vice president, who personally was responsible for a division that generated $16 billion a year, after I presented all this stuff and told him what he needed to do, he said to me, I'll never forget this, he said to me, well, Apple does it that way. And I replied, without even thinking, but you're not Apple, right? So brands can get away with things that non-brands can't get away with it. Now, in hindsight, looking at him and replying back, you're not Apple, probably wasn't the smartest way to reply back to him. That was the last day they were a client of ours. So I really didn't apply the old, you know, thinking about them thing. I just reacted. But it's true. You know, if you think about it, you know, they're not Apple. Brands get away with things. And these people were trying to say, well, we're just as good. Well, not in the minds of the visitors. Okay. The visitors didn't know who they were. The visitors didn't care yet. They hadn't earned it. All right. And so that was the problem there. And then, you know, here's the thing. There's too much information. We say it's hard to let go, you know, and you've seen these websites where there's information after information after information. All right. Well, here's the thing. In my example previously, where in the UK they read more, and in the United States they don't, you know, you need to have paths that people can follow, so that if they want to read more, they can, but you're not forcing everybody to read more. It reminds me of a time where I was at AT&T, which way back when AT&T was the phone company in the United States, and we were selling them something. And the guy I was with afterwards, we had done the presentation, and we were done. I mean, they were happy. And he said to me, Marty, tell them about whatever it was. I don't remember. And I said, well, I don't think they want to know about that. You guys you're good. Yeah, they were good. And he said, no, tell them. So I told him what, and we spent 10 minutes talking about a thing, and they were nodding their heads. And then I said, great. And they said, now, Marty, tell them about this. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I said, so finally, in this ad, added an extra hour to the meeting where I finally said to them, so you guys are ready to move forward with our software, right? And they're like, yes. And he's like, Marty, tell them. I said, well, they're ready to move forward. They don't need to know anymore. You guys are ready to like get to the contract, right? And they're like, yeah, I just wanted to slap the guy I was with. It's like, when people give people what they need to make a decision, don't be on the path. Well, if they want to subscribe to our service, we need to tell them all this. Well, let them find that information if they want it, but don't force it down their throat. Okay. So reusing their best set of tactics. People do this all the time. They do stuff, and here's the problem. Tactics don't work on everybody. So if you're doing the same thing over and over again, but you've got traffic coming from Facebook, well, the Facebook user intent might be different than people coming organically, through SEO, who might be different from the people coming from, let's say, a Google ad. So just because your tactics work in one instance doesn't mean they're going to work over and over again. It all goes back to aligning that user intent. Okay. And then the other thing people do is they have way too many offers, and it just gets to be overwhelming, for lack of a better term. Okay. So here's the deal. It's not about you, guys. I'm not trying to be mean here. It's not about you. Okay. It's about your visitor. So, with that in mind, let me give you an example. All right. This is a client. They were in Australia. And let's be realistic. This is their About Us page. The About Us page is probably the most selfish page on any website because it's about you, right? That's fair. It's an About Us page. All right. And what we did is we took this About Us page and we turned it into something that was, and I know this looks like an eye test. I'm going to blow it up in a second so you can see a little bit more. But by focusing on the visitor, the conversion rate for new visitors increased by 31%. The average time on the page increased by 76%. The exit rate decreased by 20%, meaning more sales, more email signups, and so on. So let me show you what we did. If you look at this page, all right, and this is just the top of the page, but we did it through the whole page, right? We bolded words like flattering, safe place, your friend in fashion, feel confident, look your absolute best. So even if you read all the words, yes, it's about them. But by bolding things that people could scan, we turned something that is inherently a selfish page on everybody's website, and we turned it into something about the visitor. So if you were coming here and you look at this, you're going to feel, oh my God, this is about me. I feel good. This is why their conversion rate increased, because we took, and I'm showing you the About Us page, but the reality is you have to do this on all of your pages. You have to make it about the visitor. All right. So if we can turn an About Us page into something that makes the visitor feel loved, all right, then that works. Matter of fact, I use the word love here. Emma, who's the director of marketing here, would make a joke with her staff when they were building a page. She called it, does the page deliver Marty love? Okay. So if it didn't deliver Marty love, then it wasn't good enough. And so it's all about providing that feeling of comfort, that love, that focus on the visitor for the visitors, which turns into sales, downloads, subscriptions, leads, whatever it is you're trying to get more of. All right. I think I've beat that into the ground. So how do you know if you're effectively, making sure that your message is getting to the audience? All right. So it's about search intent. So if we understand why people are coming, the why, what they're looking for, then you can actually meet those goals, assuming the why they're coming to you makes sense. So, for example, if you were, we saw a client recently who said, they're getting a lot of SEO traffic, and their SEO traffic isn't converting well, and the reason is they had a lot of long tail keywords, but students were using it to look up information as opposed to buyers looking to buy something, right? And so it appealed to the wrong audience. And so you need to understand why people are coming to your website so that you can match that intent. So once you do that and you know who these people are, And the simplest group things here is, if you think about it, new users versus repeat users, right? You might want to treat them differently. You might want to treat people in different geographies different, right? You know, so let's say you're selling, you know, gardening supplies, right? And you're in, I'll use the US for example. In the winter, you're not selling gardening supplies, you know, on the northern part of the United States, but you might be selling gardening supplies in Florida, you know, or in, you know, Louisiana still. So my point being, you know, you might use a geography for it, or you might use, you know, where they came from, because, you know, the Facebook users are looking for one thing, the search engine, the SEO users, the organic users are looking for something else. So you want to potentially understand these different people and segment them so that you've got the right offers for them. Here's an example, you know, Stratum C, you know, this, and what they do here is they've got something specially formulated for menopausal skin, right? So, you know, here's the thing. Does this do anything for me? No, it really doesn't do anything for me, right? But I'm not their target, okay? By having something that truly appeals to me as the visitor, and if you look at this, Stratum C, and right underneath it, it says the menopausal skin care range. If I am a woman in menopause and I'm looking at this, oh my God, they're talking to me. I'm going to feel really good about this. All right. So, the customer experience. Here's what happens. When somebody lands on a website, they ask themselves 3 questions. They ask themselves, am I in the right place? Which is based on the upstream messaging a little bit. How do I feel about this page? And what am I supposed to do here? So if you answer all 3 of those questions correctly, then they wind up having a good experience. Now, here's an example of a site that sells plus size clothing for women. Now, we had a client that competed with this company, and they had really, really thin models, but they only sold plus size clothes. And we asked them, why are you doing that? And they said, well, we want to be aspirational so these women can see what they could look like. And I'm like, oh my God. And I think I said this to them, man, I got to control myself. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know, you can't do that. When somebody comes to your site, they want to feel like it's for them. They're in the right place. And basically all you're doing is insulting them. And so, you know, this site does it well. The client, who will remain nameless, wasn't doing it well. All right. So what's the 3-step framework to have perfect alignment here? All right. Well, first one, and this should be obvious already, but identify your goals. What are you trying to accomplish? All right. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have a site where people come to it and they love it and it doesn't do anything for you. What are you trying to do? What is your goal? Let's make sure we don't completely forget your goals. But once you identify your goals, you want to make sure that you're achieving your goals by focusing on the visitor. Right? I keep saying the same things over and over again, but I can't tell you how many times we have customers or clients that tell us, well, we need this. Really, who cares? Okay. If you're not focusing on your visitor, what makes you think they're going to buy from you? Sign up or do whatever. All right. All right. So here's an example. All right. These people wanted to get new testers, you know, new reviewers for their panel. Review websites that get paid within 2 days. So this is really very well focused, not only on the visitor, you know, who's coming here, but it solves the problem that they are trying to solve. So this is a great example of that alignment between, you know, the goal and the customer. So find out what your website visitors look for. This is number 2, right? And so, you know, you need to make sure that, you know, they're getting answers to their questions. So why are they coming here? And if you know why they're coming, then you can solve their questions. So, you know, are they using buying keywords? Are they consuming content? What are they doing on your site? And even if they're consuming content, it doesn't mean that you can't put them at the top of the funnel. Most people focus on people at the bottom of the funnel, which we call greedy marketer syndrome, by the way. because if you only focus at people on the bottom of the funnel, you're missing all of those people at the top who, with the right marketing, could somehow be pulled down further into the funnel so they could become buyers for you. So it's not just top of the funnel, but there's also bottom of the funnel and everywhere in between, and you want to focus on that. So what are they looking for? When they're looking, who, what, where, when, that tells you that they're looking for something, or they're consuming content. They just want to sign up on a social media, become part of a community. Understand why they're coming here. So how do you get to know your visitors better? And it's basically with data, guys. All right. I mean, between analytics and heat mapping tools and customer surveys, I mean, there's a wealth of information. I can't tell. This drives me nuts. I'm sorry. But I got to say this. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we get a new client and we look in their analytics and it's not set up right, or it's not, they're not capturing, they've got no events, they've got no goal tracking, they've got no e-commerce tracking. It's like they're not even looking at it. And I understand that analytics can be overwhelming, but if you cannot improve what you're not measuring and tracking. Okay, so if you're not, guys, forget almost everything else I've said. Go look at your analytics. If your analytics aren't set up right, please just do that. Just know what's actually happening on your site, and you'll have an improvement. All right. More sources of customer data. You could do web searches and see what people are looking for. You could go to online communities, look at competitor sites. All right. Get reviews for similar products. Do surveys. There's so many ways to get data from people. Again, I'm going to say number one for you, please let number one be your analytics and potentially some heat maps. All right. And then step 3 is you want to ensure a good website experience for the visitors. All right. And so with that in mind, you want to build trust. All right. Think about it. And I think this is true almost everywhere, but you go to buy, let's say, a car. We've all had good experiences and bad experiences in cars, right? You've got the pushy salesperson and you've got the people that actually help you. Well, which one is it going to be? Nobody wants to be sold. People want to buy. So have trust, make the visitor feel safe, okay? And then make sure that it's really easy for them to buy. What am I supposed to do here? Don't hide your calls to action. Don't make me think again. Don't make me hunt all around your site to know what to do. Don't make your checkout, don't make your sign up or whatever it is, unnecessary. All right. We've all seen those forms where it has things like, your name, your spouse's name, email address, your address. Okay. How long when you're ready to buy. I mean, that's just creepy. Okay. If you don't need all that information, don't ask for all those information, and we always hear about pushback that says, well, the sales department needs it. Really? I don't know. I was taught the salespeople, talk to people, qualify people, don't force a painful process onto your visitor. All right. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask you guys to seriously consider, what are you going to do today? Because it's all about the visitor, right? It really is about the visitor. It's not about you. I promise it's not about you. What are you going to do? If you were to pick one thing, what are you going to do when you get back to the office? And I said today, but obviously when you get back to working, what are you going to do that's going to help you understand why people are coming to your site? Are you going to make sure your analytics are right? Are you going to decide to put surveys? Are you going to look at heat maps? I don't care what the one thing, just take one action that really better informs you as to why people are coming to your website, and you will be in much better shape. So with that all said and done, all right, if you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to do that. We're going to go to opening questions now. And if you're curious about the book, you can certainly get a copy of the book on Amazon if you'd like. It's available. And again, I welcome anybody to connect with me. All right. So.
Brilliant. Wonderful, Marty. Thank you so much for that. Incredibly powerful message of actually getting to know your audience, who you're trying to sell to, and not creating barriers and not creating complications. Absolutely delightful. I'm wondering about a few things. One of the things you were talking about was analytics. And in fact, that
Mhm,
loops really nicely back to the first talk of the day, which was Ravi from Microsoft with Clarity.
mhm,
Don't know if you saw that, but Clarity is a heat map tracking
mhm.
system, a bit like Hotjar from Microsoft, which is totally free. And
Sure.
actually, while he was talking about it, I signed up for it, set it up on my
Oh,
site.
nice.
It took me 2 minutes. And this is kind of why I'm saying it. It took me two
Sure.
minutes. I've already got the data. And I've already understood several things about the visitors to my site. That heat
Yep.
map idea is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, well, thank you. I will tell you there's a little bit of an art to understanding heat maps. So one of the things that if you get recordings, so if you're watching the recordings on a system and you see people scroll down and then up and then down and then up, when you've seen that on
Right.
the recordings, what that's telling you is they're not finding the information they're looking for. You're not answering their
Mm.
question. All right. And so when you have a recording where they don't scroll all the way down, what that says is they're not finding what you're offering to be of interest to them. You're missing that user intent. If they scroll all the way to the bottom of your site, and you're seeing that over and over and over again, it's saying that you're not giving them the next step of what to do that actually makes sense, right? And again, if they're going up and down, they desperately would like to engage with you, but they're not finding what they need. So there are tricks to understanding recordings and heat maps. So
Right.
anyway,
Brilliant. Okay. And another question is telling people what to do. I kind of that's a really interesting point that I learned years ago is that my ex-wife's father was trying to use our online shopping system for the Blue Dog.
mhm,
I was in a cartoon and we were selling fluffy toys, and we got her father to go and buy one of the fluffy toys for his grandchild. And
mhm.
he actually just wrote back and said, I've got no idea what you want me to do on this page. And we hadn't written click here. We'd written something a little bit more kind of poetic about,
Right, right.
make friends with Booar. I can't remember what we put, but it was really idiotic. And he was saying, I just need to be told what to do.
Yes.
And that's
Um,
what you're saying. And I think we kind of think, oh, we're treating people like idiots. But I think we all like to be treated that way. Just say, this is the next step.
Yes, but I'll go a step further. So
Oh,
when you want to tell them what to do, and you've all seen like on forums where it says like submit, right?
yeah.
And we've tested this. Submit is a horrible, horrible call to action. I mean, unless the person is a fan of the book 50 Shades of Grey, submit is not good.
Mhm.
People don't like to submit. All right.
Right.
So what's a better call to action? We've tested this, and 99 times out of 100, if you're saying if you're offering them to, let's say, you know, you know, sign up now for this or learn more about X fluffy bunnies or whatever you add. The call to action would be, yes, I want to learn more about fluffy bunnies, right? Make the call to action benefit oriented to what it is they get, and that increases the conversion rate on the calls to action. So tell them what to do, but tell them what's in it to them for them in that call to action, and it absolutely increases conversions.
Oh, okay. Brilliant. Oh, I'll be doing that later on. I mean, I do see an awful lot on sites where they're not very clear about what it is I'm supposed to be doing next, or in fact, what benefits. I mean, the I me mine mindset. I see that a lot with brands. Is talking about the brand themselves and not actually talking from that empathetic third party client's
Yep.
perspective. We've got a question from Myla. Thank you very much for the excellent and valuable presentation. Excuse me. My question is, if I track and monitor the analytics, how to start working on improving the performance based on the data analytics? Is there a specific person or agency that can help with that? Or, do I need to learn it to do it myself? I mean, obviously she's struggling with this. What can
Sure.
you actually do with the analytics if you're not really an expert?
So I'll give everyone the one cheat that you can use immediately with analytics that actually can increase conversion rates, and and let's say you're tracking conversion rate, you got it tracking, but the way to increase your conversion rate, the simplest way is to look at your bounce rate, all right, and look at engagement, all right. So there's a direct correlation that we've learned over the years between engagement, bounce rate, and conversion rate. So if
Hmm.
you can get more people to not bounce, more people to be engaged. So your time on site goes up, the time on pages go up. So focus on making look at which pages have the highest, bounce rates or exit rates, okay? And then say, all right, why are they leaving this page? What can we do to improve this page? And you improve the high bounce rate pages over, just tackle them by order of importance. Now, let's say you've got an exit page and it happens to be the thank you page on a checkout. That doesn't count, okay? But you've got some other page where they're coming to they're exiting or they're bouncing. You got to ask yourself, why is that? And it's especially true with like PPC pages where you've created a landing page. If you've got high bounce rates and you're paying money for traffic, that's got to be the main thing to do. Most people focus on, well, let me improve my ads. Well, that's great, but look at the messaging on the ads. Look at the page. Does it align? If people are getting that ad and coming to you, what are they searching for? And are you solving that problem? So seriously, the easiest thing for anybody to do is look at what pages are failing like that and then address them one at a time. Now, there's a lot of other things you could do, but that's the one thing that everybody can do, like right when they go home, right? So.
Right, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, the landing page experiences in Google Ads, one of the 3 quality score pillars, and there is a good reason for that. And part of the landing page experience, a lot of people focus on site speed, but in fact, it's about, does it answer the question? Does it solve the problem?
That's exactly right. That is
Yeah.
exactly right.
I have one really quick question, personal, that I'm now suddenly intrigued by. On those landing pages, the dedicated landing pages, a lot of companies take off the header so that you can't get out. Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea?
And this is one of those it depends answers, okay? And so I will tell you that we've tested it both ways, and for different clients, for different intent. Sometimes the header, having the header works better. In other instances, just having it be more of a squeeze page, it works better. So it depends, and it really comes down to the following. All right, is what you're offering high value, high price? Okay, high value, high price. All right, and you've got to offer either a lot of value on what your lead magnet is. All right, and you've got to have a lot of trust on there, and you can make it a squeeze page. If, on the other hand, you can't articulate all that, those people are going to want to wander around on your website to learn more. So you have to do that. On low ticket items, all right, unless you're marketing to a demographic that doesn't have a lot of money, on low ticket items, you can actually have a squeeze page typically work more, unless, again, like I said, it's a demographic that doesn't have a lot of money, and then those people need to wander around more too. But again, when they land on that page, trust is critical. You add value, you give before you get, and it works. So I'm sorry, but it depends, right?
No, that's a really good answer, because it does depend, but you gave a framework on the dependency. So thank you so much, Marty. That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you, everyone, for attending this 2-day conference. We've come to the end of the second day, the end of Powerful Brands track. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I've been here all day. I've enjoyed it greatly. I've learned a lot from people like Marty. And Digital Marketing Europe 2022, in my opinion, big success. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marty. And thank you to the organizers of this amazing, amazing conference. I will certainly be back next time if they invite me. Thank you.
Bye.
Brilliant. Wonderful. There you go.